1940. This was the year of the Blitzkrieg, or Lightning War. German planes sent bombs raining down on British cities, causing terror and chaos everywhere. Children were sent away from their parents to safety as the adults put their lives on the line by daringly helping war efforts. Among millions of children were Peter, Susan, Edmund, and Lucy, all siblings, who would be in the spotlight for one of the most famous works of fiction ever. This thrilling tale would tell of magic, monsters, and a mysterious professor, all of which these children would encounter after being sent away from war, only to become soldiers themselves. Soldiers in one of the most exciting, enchanting, and extraordinary wars of all time. The war that is the Chronicles of Narnia, The Lion, the Witch, and the Wardrobe. Before we begin, I should introduce myself. My name is Logan, and I have been a passionate reader and writer for nearly my entire life. This love of storytelling has brought me to create Fantastical, a YouTube channel built to enlighten, entertain, and hopefully educate its viewers about all things storytelling. This is the second installment of Fantastical's Between the Lines. Between the Lines is a series in which I analyze classic and/or popular stories to tell you about who wrote them, why they were so successful, what writing tips we can take from them, and what moral lessons they convey. I'm very excited for this episode, seeing as we're discussing one of the most iconic stories in all of classical literature. So, without further ado, let's begin. Every story has a backstory, and every tale a teller. So let's start where all good stories start, the beginning. This book was written by Clive Staples Lewis, more commonly referred to as C.S. Lewis. He was an accomplished author, a deep thinker, and a devout Christian. C.S. Lewis was born in Belfast, Northern Ireland on November 29, 1898. 10 years later, his mother tragically passed away from cancer, leaving his father, Albert, to take care of him and his older brother, Warren. Lewis struggled his way through early school before receiving a more advanced education from a private tutor. He eventually became a student at Oxford University. During this time, he abandoned his Christian faith and became an atheist, but after serving in World War I and then completing college, he, albeit hesitantly, returned to Christianity and went on to write many fascinating books about his faith. Lewis died from several illnesses on November 22, 1963. During his lifetime, he wrote many books such as the Chronicles of Narnia series, the Space Trilogy, and Till We Have Faces. He also wrote very interesting non-fiction books such as Mere Christianity, An Experiment in Criticism, and A Grief Observed. Of course, this is a brief retelling of C.S. Lewis's life, and I have left out a lot of things. I do encourage you to read his biography for yourself, as his life is a fascinating story. But the simplified knowledge of the author will suffice for this video. Let's move on. So let's start analyzing. Some of these analyses will be made with the assumption that you already know the story. This means that if you have not yet read the book or watched the movie, many of these points may be confusing. With that out of the way, what made the story so successful? Well, one of the factors would be that the book was so well written. Every small detail in the writing of C.S. Lewis makes it feel like the book is a good friend telling you this tale. The dialogues are spot on, whether it is the humorous arguments between the beavers or the inspiring words of Aslan. This story on a technical level is nothing short of brilliant. This book is also very easy to read and appropriate for children. However, it is just as entertaining for well-read adults. This isn't to say that the technical writing is better than the storyline itself. This book takes you on a ride through an iconic world of fantasy. With giants, centaurs, talking animals, and other unmistakable creatures, this feels like a combination of everyone's favorite fairy tales. And not only that, but it also seems as an allegory for world history. While Lewis didn't seem to have allegory in mind, it definitely could be, and often is, used that way. For example, Aslan taking Edmund's punishment of death could be a good way of explaining why Jesus died. But to sum it all up, this story is a masterfully written work of art, a compelling and inspiring story for all, and it can even be a good way to illustrate parts of reality. But what can this teach us about writing? Well, I think that the best thing we can take from The Lion, the Witch, and the Wardrobe is the idea of writing well. This sounds simple enough, but it can get very easily overlooked. For example, I used to make gaming videos on YouTube, and now all of those videos have become private, and I don't plan on showing them to the public, at least not for a while. But looking back, these videos did have some good concepts, only the presentation was, well... But not just any custom kit. Oh, no. We need to play on the worst kit in existence. Let's do it. So the first thing we need to... I think that this clip speaks, or maybe more accurately, screams for itself. While those videos' concepts were decent, I just didn't have the skills to make them enjoyable. And the same can be said for writing. You can have a stunning storyline with plot twists and epic battles, but if your technical writing isn't good, it can make that epic story very hard or even dull to read. Of course, I can't personally teach you the ways of fluent writing. If I did, this video would be days long, and besides, I'm by no means a professional writer. But I can tell you that writing can be a balance between the storyline and the words on a page, to make reading it enjoyable, but not letting that get in the way of the plot. And, by the way, when I say technical writing, I don't just mean grammar, although that is certainly part of it. I am talking about the broad view of the writing process. From dialogue to sentence structure to describing characters, there is a lot to learn about doing it well, and it will be different across every writer. There is no one way to write well, and everyone will have their own writing style. For instance, while the Chronicles of Narnia are simple and easier for children to read, J.R.R. Tolkien's The Lord of the Rings is a much different experience. It is a difficult, though still amazing read full of in-depth descriptions of his world. So, in conclusion, a good story obviously needs a good plot, but also a clear and enjoyable presentation, and, of course, a unique voice to tell it. And now, what moral lessons can be found in The Lion, the Witch, and the Wardrobe? Well, we can be inspired in many different ways from this book, and before I give my own answer, I'd like to show you the answers from SparkNotes, which, for those of you who don't know, is an online study guide. Also, it does not sponsor this video. The first theme that SparkNotes found, which actually surprised me, was about the dangers of gluttony, and it displayed the effects of Edmund's lust for more and more of the witch's food. The next two ideas actually fit together to say that the book feels like a parallel to the Bible. However, I already went over that allegory part, and besides, it feels more like an observation, though still a very good one. However, one of the morals that I personally found compelling was that of being a hero. We all have our heroes: firefighters, soldiers, missionaries, policemen, or perhaps even the superheroes on TV. Heroes are celebrated everywhere, but they always seem to be extraordinary people. People who didn't seem to be afraid of anything. But that's where the fallacy exists. There is no long list of requirements for becoming a hero. The four siblings in The Lion, the Witch, and the Wardrobe were just ordinary kids, but they learned how to be brave and overcome difficulties, and we are equally capable of doing likewise. Every day we encounter problems, but often say that we are not brave enough to solve them. In today's world, bravery is seen as a gift. Only a select number of people have it, but this is completely false. To be brave is to overcome being afraid, and that is one of the many great things that we can learn from literature. Anyone can be a hero, but not everyone makes the choice. We see this in all sorts of books, especially classic ones. For example, Frodo Baggins, just a meek hobbit from a rich family. However, he finds the courage to do what not even the world's greatest wizards could. Or maybe Harry Potter, a poor kid from an uncaring family who had seemingly every excuse to become selfish and angry at the world. However, he kept his good nature and went on to save his school and even the world from the evil Voldemort. Just as we are all storytellers, we are also all heroes, but only if we find the courage. Bravery is not natural, but rather the act of overcoming the unnatural. And before we wrap all of this up, I would like to introduce you to something. Geeke. And no, this is not sponsored. I asked and received permission to promote their website in appreciation of their mission. Geeke is an online place that connects aspiring authors to eager readers. There are no memberships, no subscriptions, it's just a free service to share your work. It makes tons of books easier to access and gives the world a more modern way to read. Geeke is independently developed, owned, and operated, and it is an amazing site for all kinds of writers. If you would like to learn more about it, I will have the link to Geeke's website, YouTube channel, and Discord server in this video's description. I highly recommend that you try it out. And with that out of the way, let's continue. So, there you have it. The Lion, the Witch, and the Wardrobe. This episode of Between the Lines is easily the deepest we've gone so far into a book. And from the roller coaster of emotions that is C.S. Lewis's life to the moving and inspiring lessons of his book, this is the end of our analysis of the masterpiece. Again, a special thanks to the Chamois as well as my mom for revising my video scripts, and thanks to everyone who watched it. I'm really sorry that this video took so long to release. This summer has been non-stop chaos for me, and as of writing my outro, I'm in a serious 3-day crunch to get this out before the end of July. I'm definitely looking for feedback on these videos, so feel free to put your thoughts into the comment section. Or you could use my email in the channel's About section, but please only use it if necessary. Anyways, I hope you enjoyed this, I will see you all later, and remember, we are all storytellers.